but I think it was, again, I think it was strong. I think each video improved upon itself. There
That
was
was
some,
the goal.
for sure. There were definitely some things where, I was like giving advice for at the beginning that I saw more in like future videos.
That's good.
Yep. And it wasn't even like, obviously it was just, you were improving, right? Like through all of them, you were giving more like positive feedback, all of that. So it was definitely a big change from the last video to the first video.
Good.
One thing is, I think you started with I think it was a quiz. It was on Quizzes.
It was a quiz.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would suggest not letting any students out of the room until the entire quiz is over. Not even like when they're done, they get to, like, don't let anyone go until the entire quiz is done.
Oh.
And my suggestion for that is because some kids are gonna be like, I'm gonna rush so I can just go, sort of thing. Or they leave the room and it's kind of a disruption, right? The kids who are still teaching are like, maybe I want to leave, like I kind of want to leave, or like maybe if people are leaving, that means they're finishing early.
So
I need to
once the
finish.
assessment's done, then you can let them go.
Yeah, kind of thing. Yeah, and it's like the same thing, like when I'm doing my 10 minutes of right, the instruction part. I prefer that you not go to the bathroom, right? Once that 10 minutes is done and we go into the we do and then the you do and then the centers, right? Like the majority of the class, I'm only asking for this 10 minutes, right? When I'm up here and I'm talking. And I don't want you to go because you're gonna miss something and then you're gonna come ask me and I'm gonna have to re-explain it to you, and then that's pulling me away from the rest of the class, right? I'm now explaining something to you for 10 minutes because that's how long my you do took, or my I do took.
Yeah.
And I'm 10 minutes now pulled away from the rest of the class because you're getting a private lesson.
Yeah.
So I think for the most part, I just be like, please wait, unless it's like an absolute emergency and you're an adult, you know what an emergency is. But when you talk to them like that, a lot of the kids are gonna be like, I'm not gonna act like I'm gonna pee my pants because that's not cool in front of the other kids either. They're just gonna be like, okay, I'll listen for 10 minutes.
Okay, and then go.
Yeah. Good job with leading questions. There was something where they couldn't get foreshadowing and you were able to get them there.
Yeah,
with questions.
I remember that.
So that was good. Good job not letting them choose their groups, which is something that you've changed from. All right, is like, I'm going to number you off, and it's going to be random, or I'm going to decide. Like I've already written your groups down ahead of time.
Don't
like
let them choose. They don't get a choice.
They don't get a choice because it doesn't work out ever.
Never.
And you always tell them, and you always want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, listen, this is an important thing. So if you mess this up, you need to be with people who you'll work well with. They'll still pick their friends every time.
Every time.
Every year, even like when I was doing the testing, I was like trying very hard to be like, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. Make sure you're sitting, because I don't know you guys very well, right? I'm gonna sit next to someone who you are gonna test well. And every time, like every year, they never rise to that particular challenge, unfortunately. So that was great. For planning, figure out the amount of time you need for each task ahead of time. So there was one time where we were like, I'm gonna give you guys, and you like looked at the clock and you were trying to, and you were like 10 minutes. Yeah. Right? That's something that can just go into your plan. Like you should have that kind of like pre-thought out. Like this is gonna be a 10-minute activity. And that way, and you can adapt. No one's saying like you have to stick to that 10, right? You get to the end of the 10 and the kids, none of the groups are done. Well, I mistimed that, right? I misfigured how long this would take. Everyone gets another 5 minutes.
All right, so pre-plan that.
But yeah, like what you initially want to give kids for their time, you should kind of just have like preloaded basically. And it saves like 5 seconds, but still just something that like makes your teaching a little bit easier, makes you feel like a little bit less stressed, because again, it's like one less thing to think about. You just know the time already, right? We have a billion things to think about. Taking one small thing off the plate still helps. Helpful. Okay. So just trying to have that figured out ahead of time. One student, when they answered, they were like, they were kind of calm, kind of nervous. And you responded, kind of calm, kind of nervous, because those are two opposites, right? Like it's an oxymoron. And I would have wanted you to push them to explain there. Like, explain what you mean. How do you figure that? What in the text makes you think they are both calm and nervous? Because to me, that feels like an opposite thing. Right? And then let them justify themselves. And if they're like, oh, no, never mind. Be like, no, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm asking you to justify. Because maybe you saw something I didn't. If you were in a group, right? So you all probably have this answer. So why did you as a group decide this? What's your justification there? I'm always very big advocate of like, just explain yourself. In your explanation, you still might be wrong, and then I will explain and help guide you through that. But I want to hear what the thought process was, because where did you go wrong in your thought process?
And where's the evidence?
And where's the evidence, right? And if they were like, oh, I don't have it, it was just like off of vibes. So I'm like, well, that's not good enough. Like, what were the vibes? Like the vibes had to come from somewhere, something that you read, right? Or are you literally just making this
Where
up?
did that intuition come from?
Correct, right? And like push them, and like, and if they don't know, be like, okay, when you're done answering the rest of your questions, I'm gonna let you guys go quietly work at the U-shaped table. I want you to find the evidence or find the thing. Don't let that, and like, you don't need to let it go because it's almost like a challenge, and it's kind of like pushing that like learning environment, right?
Yeah.
The environment where you're not wrong, but why? Like, I need you. It's constant. The whole goal is explaining why, right? That's the push to DOK2. Is why do you think that? Where did that come from, right? And can you explain that? Can you vocalize to me where that came from?
Yeah.
Right. So that's really pushing the kids for the next level. Is always asking the why. Where did that come from? Why do you think that? Right. That's how you get to DOK2 and 3. Okay. Otherwise, you're just it's just recall questions.
Yeah.
Right.
I need to get to those deeper level questioning.
Yeah, and there's lots of opportunities where, and again, it's just adding that one word to the vocabulary. Why? Why? Where did that come from? Right? Like, please show me in the text, and like, then all right, class, everyone go to that part of the text. Let's read it together. Who wants to read it aloud? Okay, like, does anyone else see what they're seeing? And like, bring the rest of the class into the conversation. As long as it's done in a way where they don't feel like they're being singled out or like they're that
I
kind
don't
of
want
thing.
to make an embarrassment or anything.
No, it's just, but that's part of like establishing very early in the year. This is like, you're never getting laughed at for being wrong. Every opportunity is a learning opportunity, right? Like, we're all going to be wrong at some point.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be wrong. In fact, you learn more once you've made a mistake than if you just.
I didn't do that in the beginning of the year. I didn't establish the norms and the required expectations. I jumped right into teaching, and that's something that I shouldn't have done.
But again, first year you're gonna, again, next year you're going to you've learned, right? And now you know what you need to do. And this next group coming in is a strong group. The 6th graders, they're more academically minded. So they're gonna be a great group for you to talk about, like, hey, no, it's okay to be wrong. In fact, I want you to be wrong. I think it's better that you're wrong so we can learn from it, because you learn more from a mistake than you do just getting it right the first time.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Right, and they're a group that will, I think, internalize that because they've had a really strong last few years.
Good.
So I think that's a great way to start. And then my last thing was the activity you did, the group activity is another good opportunity for that jigsaw, right? The thing that you had done in 6, 7, and 8. I think that's like having them split off, doing different questions and then sharing out what they got for the different questions is really important.
Okay.
Because, and the reason why I say that is because it gives the kiddos opportunities to teach, and teaching is the true form of mastery, right? Like, if you can teach something, then you know it. So if you have your notebooks out, right? Like, next year we're going to have composition notebooks. All the other kids are going to be answering the questions and writing down the explanation that they're saying, and they're going to teach them, the rest of the class, like how they got that, right? So they're still getting the information. They're still learning and hearing it. And it's giving these kiddos an opportunity to show that they've mastered that content.
Okay.
Right, and that's like a great, and again, I just wanted to focus on Jigsaw because you had used it in the last one. I was like, this is another good opportunity. Like, if that's something you want to focus on and get better at,
Take one of them and make them a new group, and then have them come back and then tell the rest of the class.
Yes, and then teach the rest of the class.
Okay, I'll master that. I'll look into that this summer.
It's good.
Okay.
But no, I liked it. I think it was a good final lesson.
All right.
Perfect.
Okay.